well-being program. So what you do? A balanced posture. You don't have to torture yourself by trying to sit in the full lotus posture unless it's natural to you. But a balanced posture, not too slack or not too sort of, self-induced torpor. Well, we call that in the neuroscience lab the self-induced absorption in cognitive opacity. Well, we don't want to do that. So instead of clarity, you don't need to close your eyes, but you can just, don't gaze into a very panoramic way, not focusing on anything, and just simply be aware of the coming and going of the breath. Sort of tickling or warm or cold sensation, or the movement of your lungs or abdomen. And just keep on that very simply. And if you are distracted, just like the butterfly who goes out of the flower, and just come back. And don't make a fuss about it. Oh, I've been distracted, I'm no good. There's another kind of distraction. If you are aware that you have been distracted, that's it, you are mindful again. So that's it. Just resume your mindfulness. So let's do that for a few moments and then see how we can embed this caring dimension in it after that. While you do that, thoughts will come. Once they are there, so there's no idea about blocking them. But the problem is not when they come, it's what you do after that. Do they proliferate or do they just dissolve? That's the main thing. So imagine that a thought comes, don't run after it, don't try to block it, let it pass like a bird passing through the sky. If you do so, they will not multiply. And if a bird flies to the sky, you can still very well be aware of the sky that has not changed behind the bird. So that's the pure mindfulness or pure awareness. So imagine that you have done that for 5-10 minutes, whatever you can afford to do. Then you have a relatively more clear, relatively more calm, relatively more stable state of mind. That will come with practice. As you have seen with the neuroscience data, anything you practice will change what you are. So if you have done that within a session, then you can use that calmer, stable, more clear state to cultivate something wholesome like altruistic love or compassion. So altruistic love, remember that beautiful child we saw after the image of saying man is a wolf for man. So when you see and think of such a beautiful child, what do you wish? Except may that child be safe, happy, may he or she flourish in life, may be spared terrible suffering, may those who are around him also enjoy sense of flourishing. So just wishing good to that person. So that's altruistic love. So let's start with something easy, like this young child, and then we can extend it to other people, like strangers. Why not? Why should the sun not shine on everyone? It doesn't cost more. It's just a qualitative experience, not like a cake that we have limited resources. Just extend that to all. That same benevolence. Let this loving kindness or this altruistic love completely fill your mental landscape. If you're distracted, come back to it. If it's sort of become dim, revive it. So nourish it, keep its quality sort of being vivid, sort of intense and clear. And then if you think of, how could I do that with the bloody dictators? So in that case, it's not like wishing success to that person, sort of terrible projects. It's not liking that person. You can have a total disgust for the person's action. But still, what shape would altruistic love take in front of this dictator? It becomes the wish of compassion. May the suffering and the causes of suffering be dispelled. And of course, a dictator is a cause of immense suffering. So you might wish, may his action be counteracted. May the cruelty, the indifference, the greed that motivates so much destructive state of mind be dispelled. That you can wish, of course. So that's how we can shift to compassion. Compassion is not fundamentally different from altruistic love. It's actually altruistic love because wishing everyone happiness and the cause of happiness. When it meets suffering, it becomes compassion, which is a kind of the shape that altruistic love takes when it encounters suffering. It is the wish, may the being suffering and the cause of suffering be dispelled. So for that we may visualize intense suffering, and there are so many in this world, and wish may those beings be spared those suffering, may the causes of suffering be remedied. Sort of intense compassion. And if you feel somehow overwhelmed by the magnitude of suffering, you should think that this needs to be met not with some kind of empathic distress, but with the magnitude of compassionate courage. Then sometime we must still feel overwhelmed by so much suffering, though then we can also think of wonderful people imbued with such great qualities of compassion, of knowledge, of wisdom, of dedication to others, social workers, spiritual teachers, great luminaries, those who bring new ideas in this world and rejoice without any other thoughts, just fully appreciate. It's a very altruistic thing to rejoice, because you have nothing to gain from that. Nobody is going to praise you if you rejoice in Gandhi's life. Nobody is going to blame you if you don't have this state of mind. They won't know. So it's really part of altruism to rejoice in the goodness of others and their qualities and achievements. And rejoicing is also the antidote to envy, jealousy, feeling miserable because others have quality, which is pretty silly. And besides altruistic love, compassion, rejoicing or celebrating, there's a fourth thing that we need. That's impartiality. We cannot, compassion and altruism is not a reward for good behavior or for the way people treat you. Compassion aims at removing any suffering, wherever it is, however it manifests. So it's not a moral judgment. Moral judgment exists, but it's not about the way people behave. It's about remedying to the causes of suffering. Therefore, that wish to dispel the causes of suffering can apply to all. Close persons, strangers, even obnoxious people. So we need that powerful wish, like the sun which shines on everything. And when some people tell you, how can I not love more my children and my dear ones and my companions and so forth? Yes, of course. If the sun shines, if life circumstances bring them very close to you, they get naturally more light and more warm. But it's not at the cost of discriminating, just they happen to be there. But the sun still shines on everyone. If you were to concentrate your rays just on those people, actually you will shine less well, less intensely, with less light on those. So everyone is losing. By having this attitude to all, you also love better your loved ones. So this is kind of a much better situation. Just extend your altruistic love, your compassion to all. That's called impartiality. So of course, we did that very short time, but you can see you could expand those periods of silence, which is the real thing. And then also you can switch between those. For instance, if altruistic love turns a little bit into attachment, then go to impartiality. If impartiality becomes a bit of kind of indifference, you impartial but in not caring very much, then move to compassion, thinking of the suffering of beings. And if you're overwhelmed at some point, then move again to rejoicing. So likewise, skillfully, by combining those four, then the four of them grow together, and then you get this profound sort of, we could say, good heart, or good-heartedness, this fundamental quality of goodness. So That's what meditation is about. So you see, of course, mindfulness is a precious tool, and that does extreme good in the world, in the clinical world, now in the world of the working place and many other areas. But I think if we never lose sight that mindfulness should go always and unambiguously with a caring quality, then it will have its full potential to help, I think, even more.